right. Good morning, afternoon, whatever time it is in your part of the world. This is our weekly update. Today, we're talking about the economic shift. We've been kind of hitting on this for the past, I don't know, year at least, on like the recession last year, the fourth quarter shift where we saw everybody just started like moving and shaking and buying. And now we're in an election year, which is a growth year. I did not know that, but I found out that economically, election years see a growing economy,
They
and I
do.
always thought it was always thought it was shrinking. And so, but when I started doing my usual reading, I was like, oh, traditionally, election years are growth years for the United States,
Yep.
and so this last week, we have seen a number of layoffs in the MSP industry. And some people are blaming it on, oh, it's an election year, the economy's unstable or
Yeah.
this or that. And, we've been seeing that there's a shift happening in the IT consulting industry. I mean, a lot of
Yes.
it's fed by the fact that, Microsoft's trying to sell direct. Margins are getting really thin on software now. They used to be, really big, really great. Everybody needed it. It was a great way to make cash. But now we're seeing vendors going, okay, we need to cut out the middleman because the margins are too small. And
Mhm.
so, and that middleman happens to be MSPs and IT consultants a lot of time.
Yep.
And so this is where we've talked about, getting more service oriented rather than Best Buy oriented. Like don't
Yep.
resell so much. I mean, yeah, if that gravy train's still working for you, more power to you. But be
Mhm.
aware that don't depend on it. Because what
Yep.
we're seeing is look at the layoffs. Oh, it's just, they're not going to tell you the whole truth. If a company is struggling or if there is something massive going on internally, they're not going to let their clients say, "Oh, by the way, we're having troubles doing this or that, so we're laying off people." They're going to come up with a great justified reason. That's a PR thing. That's
Yeah.
fine. You should do that because you don't want your clients to panic.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But in the economic state we're in, it's neat to watch a shift happen. And Skip
Right.
and I have seen many shifts in our career. I was there for the .com. In fact, I graduated right when the .com bubble bust. You know what it's like being an IT guy trying to look for a job in the middle of a bust?
So I had just started a job with a local government at that time. And so, government is typically, a bit insulated from those sort of deals. So I very much, was watching that from the peanut gallery, very vested because I'm an IT guy, but, it wasn't impacting anything that I was doing directly. But it was interesting to watch. And so over the decades, I have had this very deep interest in watching these sort of trends. Partly because I don't feel I can predict them pretty well, but I do get really into watching them in real time. And here's the one that you've kind of alluded to some of this. I've seen more of this over the last few years. We're talking MSPs, and they are at least the smaller ones. And I don't know, I can go off on tangents about, the different ways that you should or shouldn't do this or at all. But there are many of them that are pulling back from the sales process in general, in that they're saying, I really don't care where you get a PC from. I'll support it. All right. Now, me as the director of ops, that turns me inside out, and I don't know if I could do that. But
BYOD is hard to manage.
Yes,
but
I would not want to do that. But I have seen an uptick in MSPs that, to some degree, are taking that approach on. And I feel that they're doing that because they're battling the same things that you're talking about, Adam. They're saying, hey, the margins are dwindling here. It's we're not making any money off of selling these PCs. I want to just focus on my services. And so whether they're doing it right or wrong, I'm not going to weigh in on that. But they are shifting. They are saying, hey, we've got to get over here. We have a whole nother set of MSPs that are embracing new services, right? Compliance, has been the big topic here of late. And to some extent, as they dive into this, they really are deprioritizing their product, their hard product sales, whether that hard item is a Microsoft SKU or a Cisco SKU. They are deprioritizing those and moving more towards services. So yes, it is very interesting to watch these shifts. And then you got to step back and say, okay, what's that going to impact everything else? What's going to happen now when you have companies that are built around SKUs, right? They're built around delivering those products, whether they're the middleman or the end user or whatever. What happens to them as organizations shift away from that priority?
Yeah, the fun of that is that this is the way the industry's already always been, right? You're gonna find more efficiencies, and sometimes that means cutting personnel. Sometimes that means that this particular avenue no longer exists. Think car manufacturing. Accounting people's jobs shifted because automation came in and said, "Hey, look, we no longer need a human to do these things. We have a better way to do it." Now, those people went on to do other things, like the economy shifted. Those jobs went from Ford or GMC to another industry, or they got different set of skills. This is normal economic shift. So when you see like layoffs happen during a growth year, when an economic growth year, that just means that the economy is shifting. Now, what do you as an MSP need to know about this? How can you react to this? Look and see where the winds are blowing. Right now, what I see, and I think Skip agrees with this, is that we are seeing people wanting to be more involved with services and that relational touch than with asset management. Whereas 20 years ago, when your PCs were $2,000 a pop, we needed to be focused on asset management because assets were expensive. Today, assets are not expensive. Assets are disposable. They're mobile. They're everywhere. What is being more concerning is security and service delivery and supporting people in this weird shifting environment where everybody's working from home. How do you deal with that? Yeah. And so being able to guide and answer questions for your clients is becoming a more prominent thing to do.
Yes.
And so embracing that. So look at the industries that are hiring right now. So if you see a company lay off, a couple hundred employees, where are they going? So in the auto industry, where did those employees go that are no longer working on factory lines? Where are the employees going? Like who is hiring right now? So unless the unemployment rate is going way up, and you can look at that, look at the macro economy. Is the unemployment rate steadily increasing, meaning that there is no place for these jobs to go? Or is the unemployment decreasing or maintaining at a healthy level, that 4% level?
Which we are, yeah.
Which means that the economy is shifting somewhere. So where is it shifting? Like, we had a hard time here in Nebraska during the pandemic because people started outsourcing. People started working remotely. So we had people in the food industry suddenly find out that they could work at a call center in Tennessee or Texas and stay at home all day with their kids and have a better lifestyle than going into the office or going into being a food server every day and get paid more and have better benefits. And so we saw this shift where our unemployment rate went down to like 1.7, which is super unhealthy. Yeah. Like that means that we could not hire. We had to hire outside the state, which is bad for the economy, of Nebraska economy. So when you saw that, you see the shift. And so where are people going? What are they doing? How are they hiring? So as an MSP, how are you helping in reading the winds to tell your clients like, hey, it looks like a lot of people are buying direct from Microsoft. Okay, how does that help my MSP? How can I profit off of that shift? Cool. Now I don't have to hire a Microsoft licensing specialist, or I sell my Microsoft licensing specialist at a premium because, as you guys know, Microsoft licensing changes with the slightest breeze, and your clients are going to notice that this is a pain to manage. Can you please manage it for us? Like, Yes, we will manage all your software licensing with one of our specialists for this fee. You're
Yep.
no longer selling software, you're just managing it.
Well,
These are decisions you can make. You may disagree with what I just said. That's okay, as long as you're adapting to the situation.
Well, here's another important element there. As you see those shifts, and you're saying, okay, it's shifting from a hard product to a service, and you're fine with that, but you've got to realize that those shifts have effects. So if you say, all right, we're going to launch with this new service stack, we're going to do this, do this, do this, do this, and then you roll into your clients' environments and you're trying to sell that the same way you did products, then it's not going to fit. It's not going to work. And I've seen that. I've seen that happen where account managers will go out and say, I just can't sell that. And it just doesn't sell. Well, they're trying to sell it like a hardware item. They're trying to sell it like something that comes in a box. Yeah. And it's not. You are. Yes, if you're going to shift your focus to these items, then you're also going to have to shift your approach to the value. Why do you do it? If it's a product, maybe you were leveraging the brand name. Maybe you were leveraging just the cost, or some other feature that new chipset or speeds and feeds that came along with that. If you're shifting over to a service, it's now you. All right. Yep. What is your value? All right. Don't put yourself in a box. All right. So make sure you're adjusting your methodology as you shift your focus on these items as well.
And so to that end, what I want to point out is, like, I have had I think it was this week or last week, I had a great meeting with a prospect. And I won't name names here. I'm sure he would love to have a shout out. I would have to clear it first, but he has a very specific vertical he's working with, and that is wine.
Yes,
that is wineries.
Yes.
And he knows them really well. He has great relationships there. Like, he helps them with their software and offers a unique value prop there and understands their unique situations. Like, you got these wineries that are some mom and pop, some of these big conglomerates, but they have this massive problem that they're trying to solve, where they are both, controlled substance, their food industry, their entertainment, their all these things, and they can't be treated like just anybody else. Yep. And he has a unique stack he can offer. And we talked through, like, how he is ahead of the curve, in my opinion, because he's trying to be all these things. And I hope you're listening to this right now. And maybe you can send me an email and let me know, like, should we do an interview with you and talk about this unique thing you're doing? So I think you could do this in a medical industry. You could do this in a legal industry or in a school industry. Like, what if, instead of being a generic MSP for schools, because as everybody knows, that's my passion. What if you had a unique delivery stack that exactly fit private schools? Now, I can tell you, just in Lutheran schools in Nebraska, there's 127 clients right there. 127.
Yeah.
Now, that's Nebraska, and we've only got a population of 2.5 million? Now, let's talk about the rest of you states here. This is an underserved community. What if you created a unique stack where you'll come in and deliver smart boards, you'll deliver the VR setup they need, already pre-built with apps they need, and the Google Classroom, Blackboard, Canva, whatever it is that's popular there, and you had specific support staff that were well-versed, that maybe you poached from Blackboard and are now working for you, and you walk in and say, look, if you pay us $10,000 a month, we will take care of all of your technology stack, from access point to testing cycles. We will help you with that. We have specific people who know how teachers work. We've got ex-teachers working for us that help you build curriculum and know how to build summer programs and know how to do remote teaching.
Yeah,
That's specifically going to help you. That's an economic shift, guys. Yes. No longer are you this MSP who does everybody. You're an MSP who does not want the legal firm. You don't want the medical office. If somebody came up to you and said, hey, I have a restaurant and we're willing to give you $10,000 a month to service us, you would say no. You are not a school. We only do schools. We don't have the support staff to talk through Microsoft Office because we are a Google shop. We've leaned completely into the school system.
Mm-hmm.
What if you were that MSP? 10 years ago, that wouldn't have made sense. Today, however, look at the amount of technology in a classroom and who is supporting it.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Well, and so I'm going to talk on margin again, and then my popular feature. And I think it's kind of funny for me. I think it's ironic because, I don't have any business education. I have certainly not a sales guy. So why talk about margin, right? Well, from an owner perspective, I am qualified to talk about margin. And I've been in that owner role for decades now with various things. And there becomes, you look at sales. We need to increase sales, right? You want to increase sales because you want to make more money, right? Totally get that. But there comes a point when you start looking at that and go, hey, I'm increasing sales, but we really aren't making any more money. Why? Well, it's the margin in your deals. And if your margins are shrinking, then you're having to combat that with just more and more sales, more and more effort. What if you definitely want to increase sales? I'll say that. But what if you shifted your focus to increasing margins rather than so heavily on increasing sales?
Yep.
Right. Now we're able to do the things that we really do well, and we're able to make really good money at it. And we don't have to work so hard for the sales. Not that you aren't working, right? But what happens, the evolutionary effect of that is your sales get easier. And many times your sales do increase because you focused on doing it better and making more margin. And now it's like you turn around like, wow, I never had to, work so easily to get a sale as I do now. And that sale makes me more money. So these shifts are really, really important, and you need to. You're unique. Yeah, I don't know what are the circumstances, but this week I've thrown that out. You're a unique snowflake living in your own unique snow globe. All right,
yep.
And I that's a true statement. But you can't just go, oh, we're special. I'm going to do whatever I want. No, you have to do whatever makes sense, and you need to pay attention to these shifts. What is it?
Yep.
What's the impact going to be, and how can you capitalize on it?
Yeah. What is the impact? How can you capitalize it? I've often said in like management theory, like when an employee comes into me, I don't care if you fail. I just want to know that you failed so that we can shift and capitalize on that. So if you've ever seen my SWOT talk on YouTube, I talk about when we do SWOTs as strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Threats are just opportunities. That's really all they are.
Yeah.
You want to shift a threat into an opportunity. So when you see something shifting, like, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to sell software anymore. Okay, you should have seen that coming years ago, and you should be prepared for it. What's your plan? Okay, there's an opportunity where I'm going to be ahead of the curve. We're going to lean into this school industry because public schools have these huge IT departments that are supporting these teachers and helping them do all these amazing things so they can just focus on their job. Private schools do not have those because private schools have just like, oh, we'll do it all ourselves kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you walk in and said, hey, look, for the cost of one full-time employee or 1.5 full-time employees, I will be an entire IT staff. So none of your teachers have to worry about implementing technology at your school ever again. Yeah. They can just focus on curriculum. And if they have an idea on how to use technology in the classroom, they can call us and we'll help them set it up. In the meantime, here are all the things we're going to help you do so that you can compete with the public schools in your area or the charter schools in your area or whoever, so that you can focus. Now, this is an opportunity, but you have to lean into it because E-rate sucks.
Yes.
Dealing with Classroom and Blackboard and Canva and all these softwares, it sucks if you are not familiar. So that's why they're going to outsource to you. It's a pain to deal with all this stuff. It's the pain to do mobile device management. Yeah. And you want to solve that pain for them, but you need specific employees who are familiar with that. And that's what we mean by leaning into the industry as it changes. If you see this wind blowing, follow it and see where it leads. Prepare for it based upon what your MSP is doing so that you can succeed where other people are going to fail. They're going to say, oh, we'll keep doing what we've always been doing out of just sheer ignorance. They're working really hard. They're working smart. They're creating efficiencies. They're doing that, but they're not reading the economy and where the economy is going. They're not looking at the layoffs happening in the automotive industry to realize that, hey, you know what? We're going to see some crazy stuff hitting us here pretty soon. It's kind of like I tell my kids, we are moving into a part of the economy where, what are they calling this new generation? The trade generation.
Oh yeah.
Where they're going to trade schools because colleges are so good at training somebody up in 2.5 years to a high skilled job that didn't exist 20 years ago. We had drafting and we had some great jobs that you go for a trade school, but nowadays you can move into a medical professional in a trade school. You can move into some really great careers as a trade school. We know there's a big gap caused by Skip and I generations when the Gen Xers decided not to go into electrical engineering. We went into IT because the money was there.
Yeah.
And so now there's a big gap. So these kids are coming up and they're shifting. And so these kids who are shifting into trades these days are going to be the high earners here in about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because they shifted. They saw the economy. Their parents saw the economy. They got great advice on, what if I just were to go to a trade school or go to a local college and get a trade skill? Mm-hmm. Because that's where the wind is blowing.
Yep, definitely.
You as an MSP need to say the same thing. Where is the wind blowing? What can I do to adapt? Because we're seeing it this year with layoffs in the IT industry, with some great companies that are doing great things, but they're laying off because they see something that we need to see.
Yeah,
they see something that you should be paying attention to. Don't go with the PR that's being put out there. Talk to your personal representative at these companies and get a real gritty picture. What are they seeing and what are they preparing for? And is it something you should be preparing for? And that's the economy, guys. This is the topic. We should probably do a 2-parter here. Maybe we'll record another episode next week where we talk about practical applications of reading the economy, where we actually talk about the economy, where it is today, and then practically what can you do? So what you do in a recession? What do you do when your profits are high? How do you deal with this? Thank you, everyone. I know I talked too much this one as always, but thank you, Skip, for being on board.
All good. All good.
All right. We'll see you guys all next week.
See you.